The Department of Basic Education is proposing some changes to calendars for public schools in the country. This is due to disruptions caused mainly by COVID-19. We're now joined by the department's spokesperson, Ellijah Mhlanga, to give us more detail. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. Perhaps from the words of the department, when did you contemplate the changes and why?
Good afternoon to Brazil. Well, the changes were necessitated, among other things, by COVID itself after we were forced to close schools in 2020 due to the pandemic. We changed the school calendar without following the process. The process requires that a Gazette be issued. But in 2020, we didn't have time to do that because we needed to respond immediately to the demands of the crisis that was upon us. So we thought, therefore, that it was important for the policy to make a provision for a crisis such as that of COVID to enable the department to make changes without having to go through an exhaustive process. So that is the one thing. But we also took the opportunity of looking at other provisions in the current policy, which includes the number of holidays which can be given to religious communities. At the moment, there are 2 days that can be given in the school calendar, but we felt that we needed to change the policy as well to allow a province to decide, because the provinces are not the same and the dynamics are different as well. So the HOD in a province needs to make the determination in terms of the number of days that can be given to a community that wishes to go on religious observance. So those are some of the things that we're addressing in the changes that we have proposed.
Sure. Let's take a look at the Gazette that was published on the 4th of May, starting with paragraph 4.6. The public, by means of notices in the Government Gazette and newspapers, be invited. And then the proposed amendment includes the public must, by means of notices in the Government Gazette, department website and social media, be invited to submit comments. And so that change, what necessitated that? Is it because of a reach?
Absolutely, you are correct. You know, the policy was so old that it insisted on the fact that the publication of the Gazette must be in the newspaper. And once that has been done, then the legal requirement would have been met. But when we look at the reach of newspapers, with some closing down, as we see the news around foreign news and the shrinking in the newsrooms and basically the stress around printed media taking place now, it meant that we would no longer be able to reach the people in the way that we used to reach them before, when in fact there is another option, which is social media and our digital platforms in the department, which we could utilize to reach people. So that's what we're saying should happen now. So the policy should allow us to legally use social media because we believe we have a reach that is reasonable, and also the website has a reach that is reasonable. That should be enough as a policy requirement for us to have published the Gazette. Of course, it won't end there. We'll also utilize other platforms, but we feel that in terms of the policy, the use of social media and digital platforms should also be acceptable.
Fair enough. You've touched on the religious groups. Maybe let's talk about what parents need to know about the different terms from the first to the 4th term.
Yeah, we have looked at the structure of the national calendar and we realized that there are so many days that are lost because of the different holidays that are there. So we are proposing some changes there. This could be technical for some people to understand, but you know, we're trying to have as many days as possible for teaching and learning, especially in those times when you look at the Easter, the impact of Easter holidays and the winter holidays. So we're trying to restructure the length of the terms, but also trying to accommodate holidays without compromising teaching. So we are trying to enable our learners to do as much work in school as possible, because of the losses that we incurred due to COVID. So whatever that we are proposing here is really part and parcel of the recovery program that we have been implementing as a department following the devastating losses that we incurred as a result of the forced closure of schools. So everything that we are doing here is really to save time for teaching and learning in our schools.
Yesterday would have been a week to the day since publishing the Gazette. A week later, what has been the response?
Well, there's been a lot of interest, and we really appreciate that. Since COVID, we are seeing a lot of parents, caregivers, and South Africans in general coming through to debate and discuss the school calendar, something that was not there before. So we really appreciate it when people engage on this matter. So there's a lot of debate and engagement on this, but what we really would appreciate is when people send their input via email to the email that has been given, mhlanga.s@dbe.gov.za, because that's only when your input will be considered, because there's a team of people that will be processing all the inputs that are going to be received from the public. So please send through your input via that email address, and then we'll be able to take into account your views.
You say there's been a lot of interest and debate. Which way is the debate leaning?
Well, I can't say at the moment, but it's still early. All I can tell you is that we are receiving emails, and we encourage people to come through and do that. So I don't want to influence people either way, but we want people to be free to submit their input without being influenced. Thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you very much to the Department of Education spokesperson Ellijah Mhlanga.